Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock will never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network, where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent, and I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night. And it's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, right across the bay from St. Petersburg, Florida, where a pack of Guru have established a sept of the new Guru Nation, not to be mistaken for the old Guru Nation, which is a shattered and disturbing mess of infighting and politics and, well, just overall nastiness. This new nation, however, has had its own struggles in its kind of birth and its uprising, as it has, had some trouble getting started. It has tried to, rival the kindred that have long since set in roots within Tampa, but they have had success in beating back those kindred. And while those kindred may have been uprooted, some other things have also started to grow literally from the ground, as some disturbing things have come from Piney Point, a factory, a established entity down to the south of Tampa Bay. A old established plant that was long since closed many years ago seems to have new stirrings from it, as a Pentex organization has now started distributing fertilizer and seeds and plants that have some interesting altering effects, to the point that it seems to infect the population of humans and kindred and Guru in an almost Last of Us fashion that is causing some interesting side effects, some alterations that could be very, very problematic to all living creatures in the world. And the Guru have been doing everything they can to try and stop it. If this sounds at all appealing to you or something that you'd be interested in learning more about, you should go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see listed down below. and in the description. And if you want to learn more, you should come join our community by jumping on the Discord and following that Discord link, where you could be one of the 200 plus community members that make up the St. Pete by Night community. We have many, many activities that you could be a part of, and we have games and one shots that are happening all the time. And you could possibly find yourself learning more about the world of darkness and the amazing community that makes up St. Pete by Night. So come join us. We would love to have you amongst our ranks. But of course, I couldn't tell this incredible story alone. It would take some pretty amazing players to make that happen. So let's go ahead and introduce those players now. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves if you please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ, Champagne, whatever you want to call me. But Boho go bye-bye for Jojo Pogo? That's a no-go, bro. And I'll be playing Aspen Wise, Philodox of the Silverfangs.
Hi everybody, I'm Nori, and I'll be playing Malicious Jester, Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hi everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
Hi, I'm Preston. I'm confused. I played Jason Dreams and Decay Thorn, Theurge of the Bone Gnars.
Pretty sure that wasn't a reference for me, so I'm just going to skip over that one and get into tonight's story. So we took a week off last week, so we have a little bit of catching up to do. Last week, we saw the official full return of Artie, as Aspen and Artie had some time to mend those fences officially, getting to the point that they actually got engaged, making it official that they were going to spend the rest of their lives, however long that may be, in the lives of Guru together, and planned to forge a future going forward, having forgiven each other for the mistakes that were made and the words that were said in the past to one another. They also talked about the troubles that were upcoming and the solutions that must be sought out in order to solve the problems that lay ahead of them. Jester and Lucas also took a step forward in touching a tree. Lucas, for the first time, delving into the world of spirits, trying to see what this cairn's secrets were and trying to expand his mind, open up his mind into the possibilities of what the spirits had in store for him, where they saw and learned more about the history of the Guru. They learned a very, very important story about the history of the Guru, where they learned about the three brothers who went out to settle a dispute over who had the most renown in the eyes of Gaia. And one of those brothers learned a very, very important lesson, possibly too late, about the difference between pride and honor. Then Jace had a meeting with Moses. After his interesting encounter with the dreaming, he talked to the man who had given him the candle that seemed to be the gateway to the dreaming. And in that discussion, he may have gotten some insight into the mysterious wanderer, but he also left with even more questions about his condition, questions about whether maintaining this condition would be necessary. For in the dreaming, he learned that the mysterious patron spirit known as Turtle seemed to be locked in slumber within the dreaming, and this affliction he was suffering from may be the only way he could access the dreaming, and that he may need to suffer this infection longer in order to be able to get into the dreaming, to free Turtle from that slumber, to return them to the Umbra, to return them to the Guru. But at what cost? The pack then reconvened to discuss everything they learned, and in this they learned that cold iron was a remedy for this infection, that it could be the missing X factor that could beat back these plants, that could solve and cure the infection that was spreading amongst humans and Guru and kindred alike, that it could be the answer all their problems. But cold iron is a lot harder to come by than it seems. It's an old, outdated methodology for creating iron, and that it can only really be found in very, very old antiques, original antiques, or from mines themselves. Florida isn't known for its mines. You would have to dig pretty deep and go to some pretty old places to find them. And mines are usually controlled by those who are looking to delve into the Earth's resources. And if you know anything about the world of darkness, you know that those who want the Earth's resources are those of the worm. That being said, our story tonight begins with a mentor and a protege touching base, hoping to get caught up to date as Aspen visits her mentor, Matthias, hoping to get her mentor caught up to date as they haven't been on the same page in quite some time. It's time for a conversation. Aspen, you haven't really been in contact with Matthias in a while. So as you call to set up an appointment, he says you can meet him at the suites that he's been staying at, that he is in town again, and that he's looking forward to meeting with you and talking. So as you drive over, Artie actually giving you a ride, as he is not going to see you driving yourself and is thinking it's shameful that you've been doing so for the past several months. He drives you over to the hotel that Matthias has been taking residence at and drops you off outside, saying that he'll be waiting for you when you're done with your meeting. Walk into the very luxurious lobby, heading over to the bank of elevators at one wall, pressing the button for the top floor. And as you ride up the elevator, what's going through your mind as you're going to be facing Matthias for the first time in quite some time?
Mostly it will be nice to see him. He's a bit of a sounding board for Aspen when she's struggling. So it's definitely helpful to have another mind working through the things as well. There's a little bit of nervous energy because there's kind of a lot of things that have happened in a small amount of time that she's going to talk to him about. And also, always in the back of her mind, since it's been discovered, is how do we get this iron?
So as the elevator dings at the top floor and you step out into the hallway, there's basically just the door in front of you and a couple of doors at the end of the hallway that leads into the master suite. You knock at the door and you hear the voice from within, the familiar voice of Matthias calling for you to come in. You open the door and it's unlocked, and as you open the door, give me a wits and awareness roll. You are at rage 1, as it's been a very peaceful and relaxing few days with Artie back in town. Everything's been blissful for the first time in a very, very long time. It's just felt like everything's been back to normal, which has been a very unusual feeling, even back to the days before the attack on Bloody Mary and everything.
That would be 2.
2 successes. That's enough to notice that something has changed within the suite, because it's very obvious to notice that all of the furniture within the suite is different. The tables, the chairs, the dressers, even the artwork that adorns the walls has all been replaced. Almost everything in here, even the bed coverings, have been replaced. Everything is new. Everything is very luxurious, very fancy. Everything up to Matthias's tastes, but nothing of the original room from the last time you were here is the same. Not even the chair that you see him, the chair and the cafe table that he's sitting at waiting for you, is the same. But as you walk in the door, he stands and strides halfway across the room to meet you, his hands outstretched. Aspen, it's been far too long.
Definitely far too long. Decide to upgrade?
I got tired of looking at the same old things. They weren't mine. And so it was time to settle in. If this is going to be my home for an extended period of time, it's time to make it more comfortable.
Settling in. Dangerous.
Well, we're building something here. And I need to be available to you. And if I'm going to be available to you, I should be comfortable. The last thing we need is to fly off the handle.
I agree. Just giving you a little bit of a, nudge. Because with everything going on here, it's crazy that people stay.
As he reaches you, he leans in and gives you a kiss on the cheek, and then he steps back, kind of looking you over. You seem like you're settling in nicely, too. This is the most relaxed I've seen you in quite some time.
I figured it's about time. We're here for the long haul, right?
Are indeed. So catch me up. Tell me how things have been going. Starts to lead you over to the cafe table and chairs, taking one of the chairs and pulling it out for you.
Well, it's been interesting, but that's kind of how I've been starting all of our conversations. It's always something. So, have you gotten anything from Charles about plants and all of the developments that go into just plants?
Charles has been surprisingly quiet of late. I would dare say withholding.
Shock.
Yes. But I've been busy myself, so perhaps you can catch me up.
Of course. Well, we've been looking into these plants. There's been a multitude of different types that have cropped up as of recent. We have ones that see, ones that fly, see, ones that explode in a spore inducing paranoia, maybe, and ones that lash out with silver.
Silver. I didn't know that plants could contain metallurgy.
I didn't either. We're learning tons of new things as of recent. Also, these spores, if you breathe them in, they alter, I guess you could say, brain chemistry.
I've heard of hallucinogenics before. Many of the old theurges, mystics would use them before, but in what way?
Well, in a multitude of ways. It seems, well, let me back up just a titch. We recently investigated into some housing developments that were containing soil from high quality builders, which seems to be a subsidiary of Pentex. We went looking into this because I guess there was a similar issue up in Michigan. We found this out when the new pack showed up.
Yes.
When investigating, there were residents within one of the places that had strange qualities, almost a Stepford type quality to them, and they seem to be connected, maybe in a hive mind like way. The reason we know this is because Jason, the theurge, was exposed to the spores and has been experiencing strange difficulty with vision, and he also seems to have some sort of connection to the others that were residents of this area.
Interesting. So these spores, when they enter the bloodstream, they're creating a hive mind connection. It's quite unusual. And it affects Guru just as it affects humans.
Yes, and it also affects leeches. Yes, and it's not only a mental change, it's a physiology change. Some of them, I guess, turn plant-like, including, we know the leeches can turn plant-like. So we're hoping that it's not as, I guess, strenuous on us as Guru, but it's only, I think, a matter of time before it takes a hold and has more of an effect.
Well, our regenerative qualities are likely slowing any effect it would have, but the fact that it is affecting leeches, that is problematic. Their dead tissue shouldn't be able to nurture growth. I don't consider myself a scientist, so I can't offer much insight into this. Have you found any solutions for dealing with this?
Yes, there are solutions in theory that have to deal with cold iron. We actually have someone who's been affected by the spores that we are going to try to, I guess, a bit of a dialysis of the blood to get rid of said spores with this cold iron.
One of your Guru?
It is a friend of Lucas. She worked at the botanical gardens.
A human. And you have access to cold iron.
That's where we're running into a bit of a snag. We had a bit because Eliza is always resourceful and she's got what we need when we need it, but she didn't have much. So it was Lucas's friend Louise or helping Jason. And at the time we've decided that Louise would be a better option because she does not have the regenerative properties that we have. We think that Jason would have a better standing to wait it out a little bit more.
Well, that Eliza always seems to have what you're looking for, doesn't she? Funny that.
Somebody needs to.
Suppose so. Well, it's not a very common thing, cold iron. There are mines still in operation, and I suppose there are some potential resources that could be found. I can start putting out feelers for you and employing what resources I have. I know that there were some septs in the old nation that were looking into closing down some of the old fracking operations and mines in the Northwest, even up as far as Canada, trying to prevent them. However, with the political climate, travel and contact has been a little more difficult. But
Right.
I can do what I can.
While doing some research, I did look into mines. I know that the two biggest producers of iron within the United States would be the Tilden mines and the Mintac mines. The Mintac mines are in Minnesota, but I don't know what kind of relationship we have with any SEPs in the Minnesota area. But the Tilden mines are within Michigan, and I know you've had some interactions with them.
Michigan, there is communication there. However, it's grown quiet and clipped. I have tried to maintain relations with them ever since they have sent their pack down here, but they have not asked for any updates. And when they have made contact, it has been fewer and further between. I have checked in with them to let them know how things are going, and they have been short in their responses and their correspondences. Mostly, I've just left messages for them. Speaking of which, do you have any updates on their pack that I can pass along?
They're settling in. They seem to have their own difficulties within pack dynamics among themselves. A lot of infighting, from what I understand. But they're progressing. They've done a few missions, you could say, with Charles. They're doing well. One of them brought information that was actually alarming but necessary. Something under these buildings that we were looking into. What can you tell me about abominations?
His eyebrows lift at the mention of abominations, and he leans back in his chair. Well, only theories, really. Those believed they were impossible. Ghost stories.
Not anymore.
From what I had heard, the reason they're called abominations is because they are utter monstrosities, uncontrollable, untethered. You know what I've taught you about Hoglosk, giving in completely to the rage. Imagine that, and then some. The hunger of the leeches and the rage of Hoglosk. They are a monstrosity. To create such a thing is to unleash. There's no need for it, no call for it. It's an impossible thing to create or control. A pointless exercise.
Well, there was at least one here. Charles and one of the other pack were able to dispatch it to take care of it. But now we have a fear that there could be ones lying in wait underneath these housing developments.
The only reason for them to even create such things would be a nuclear option. Utter waste, destruction. But that would be self-sabotage. It would destroy any pretense of hiding, subterfuge, a veil of. There's no covering that up. You unleash one of those creatures upon the world. You can't control it. You can't mask it. Create one, let alone more than one. does complicate matters.
It does seem like there's a lot we're dealing with that we're not quite knowledgeable about when it comes to the abominations, potential vampire plant zombies. I believe we spoke briefly about Piney Point, but
Yes.
there's a woman there, and she's at the top of all of this, the plants, the spores, everything that's happening here.
So, priorities then. Sounds like this Piney Point problem is the first priority, the plants. The growing infection. Having just dealt with one pandemic, the world isn't prepared to deal with another. That seems to be the first priority. Old iron, if that is the solution, that is what we need. That is what you need. So I will set my resources to finding that. As for the abominations, be on the lookout for it, but I can only hope that that's just a fluke. There was only one. I've also learned that you can never turn a blind eye to anything in this world. Where there's one, there are likely others.
That's my worry. Yeah. To the point of the cold iron, though, we, in theory, again, we have to do some more research. We have some people on it. Spud and Eliza are working on some things, but we may have to put out, I guess you could say, smoke bombs to clear out the plants as a whole. That would be airborne. Is there any way you could help spread a word or something in the realm of keeping the people safe? Because it could potentially be even, I don't want to say worse, but a problem, them breathing in all of that.
Can try, but you know people. They don't like to be told what to do, especially now. They're very willful, very stubborn. And Florida, more so than anywhere else, is especially willful and stubborn. There are, depending on the location, steps that can be taken. Parks have been closed, locations can go under maintenance. So there are measures that can be taken in certain areas, but widespread, it would be a lot more difficult to do. So depending on where and when, certainly, but I can't guarantee full coverage for the entire area. It would be a case-by-case basis.
Do you think there's something we could do as far as spreading maybe any sort of rumors to get people to start, I don't know, masking again to help with any potential fallout?
They didn't mask the first time.
Yeah. Stubborn.
I will start planting talk now. Actually, this would be a great opportunity to employ your Galliard. She's still working on the journalism that she was talking about. I have an in at one of the local papers. Perhaps I could get her a job there. Have her start writing up some articles or dropping some rumors about a growing concern. Something here or there. We let that catch fire. Perhaps we can at least start to get people aware, start to get people thinking about it, but it won't save everyone.
Okay. I think that's helpful. The more we can get the word out to hopefully help in some way. I don't want to make a different problem by fixing one problem.
Another possibility is we purchase one of the, or several of the groundskeeping companies. And we start mixing in a solution with their pesticides or what they use to treat the plants in the area.
Okay. Yeah, we can get some information on that and I can maybe potentially work on that as an option as well.
There's also the water reclamation plants, ones that they use, that they take the runoff water from storms that they use to water the public properties. Not used for drinking, so it doesn't go into the drinking water, but it's used for sprinkler systems and the like for public properties. If we were to use whatever solution or formula, we could put it in that, but there are some of the unhoused population that sometimes use that water to bathe themselves.
Right. And that becomes problematic if we're putting
Does.
metals into water and it runs into open bodies of water here.
All concerns to aware of, yes.
Okay. Well, those are some options. I'll keep a lookout and update you as we figure out Jason. We do have the potential to try a ritual, but it could go. It's not a great one. It does have its risks, and I'd not want to use that if we can find a different option quickly, which is why I'm so dead set on these mines and iron as quickly as I can.
Do you have anything that I can bring to the Sept in Michigan? They have been very hesitant to deal in the past. I mean, you saw what they gave us the last time I tried to deal with them.
Absolutely. I believe that they're already being affected by the plants up there. The soil up there could already be infected by these plants. So it's going to become very problematic to them very quickly. So it behooves them just as it does us to get hands on this iron and for us to come up with a resolution. And as soon as we have the resolution, we can send it to them for them to take care of the problems up there.
See what I can do. And if nothing else, I'll put them in contact with you.
I appreciate that, Matthias. Thank you.
As Matthias leans back in his chair again and considers, you see him kind of blink a few times as he winces and rubs his forehead. And how are things with the new Sept, or the new cairn?
They're good. Are you okay?
Been getting headaches. I think it's the shifting of the seasons. I'm not used to the pollens here. Possibly allergens.
That could be bad, though. We've been dealing with the spores, as I've been saying. You might want to come by the cairn and get looked over.
I'm sure it's nothing. I haven't been hearing voices, if that's what you're concerned about. Just runny nose. It's nothing.
If it gets worse, you'll tell me, yeah? Can I roll an insight to make sure that it's just like headache?
Sure.
It's not like any other symptoms that maybe are from the spores or anything.
Yeah, give me a wits and insight.
Three.
As you're looking him over and his body language and behaviors, he doesn't seem to exhibit any of the physical signs of the spore infection that you saw with Jace, that you saw with, any of the other individuals that you've encountered that have been infected by the spores. He doesn't have any of the yellowing in his eyes. He's not showing any feverish symptoms. If anything, he just looks a little tired and maybe slightly disheveled for him. Like maybe a couple of hairs are out of place, but nothing that would exhibit infection. Nothing that seems, any more worse for wear.
Okay.
His eyes are a little bit bloodshot, but that could go with allergies.
You tell me if anything gets worse.
I promise I will.
Okay.
Well, I will start looking into the groundskeeping companies. I'll look into water reclamation. We'll make contact with the Michigan Sept once more. Try to firm up those communications. I'll see what I can do about the newspaper. And I'll also reach out to the other mine that you had mentioned and look into contacts out in the Northwest. But I'll start pushing on the cold iron and see what leads I can come up with.
Okay. And oh, you asked about the cairn. If you ever want to come by and see it, you can touch a tree, get told a story. It's a good time.
Touch a tree.
Yes. Cairn is interesting. There's a lot of mystery to it. It's actually really intriguing.
Keep that in mind. Wonderful. Well, I won't keep you. I'm sure you have a lot to deal with now with all of this, but please keep me up to date. It's been far too long, and I hate when our chats go missing for so long.
Absolutely. We'll get coffee and it'll be less business related next time.
That would be nice. I'm glad to see you smiling and feeling better. I know things have been difficult.
Yeah, but I've been working on it.
I know. As you exchange a few more pleasantries, and Matthias sees you to the door, part ways. What's going through your mind after this conversation as you take the elevator back down?
Getting to spill everything is, as she was thinking before getting there, was nice having a sounding board to kind of talk things through with. Feeling a little bit more confident about the potentials of getting cold iron. Now she has some feelers and navigation out there to look into it. Big worry for Matthias because of the stress and anxiety of what these plants do. making sure he's okay and he doesn't have to go through similar things that Jason went through is definitely on her mind now and will be something that she continues to think about for a while.
It's something like a ever-spreading infection. Whenever anyone seems even the slightest bit off, you can't help but feel paranoid, a feeling that we all know all too well with something that we experienced just a few years ago. And in this new growing situation, not want to experience again. We transition now to another reconnecting a few days later as Jester reconnects with a friend of hers that she has spent far too much time apart from. Jester, you find yourself in the apartment of Artie and Aspen. It's changed a little bit since the last time you were here visiting Aspen. Artie's home, and you can tell very much that he's home. It's got that lived in quality. It doesn't have that everything's in its place feeling, that overly organized feeling that Aspen had when it was just her. But it doesn't have that messy feeling that it used to have with Artie. It does feel a little bit more grown up, a little bit more adult. You see, an espresso machine has been set up in the kitchen. And as you've arrived, Artie offers to make you a coffee and actually makes one for himself. And over at his desk, while there is still the bank of monitors and the computer, it's all a little bit more neatly organized. In fact, there's like an entire filing system on his desk, and everything just kind of has a little bit more of a neatness, a quality to it. As he comes over in his button-up shirt with the rolled-up sleeves and his vest, his dress pants, he's wearing socks that have colorful patterns on them and a Garfield cat on the toes as he plops down on the couch next to you and passes over a coffee that he's made for you. So, what do you think?
You traded your energy drinks for coffee?
Yeah, well, there's a funny story with that. So, I was driving from Chicago out to Colorado. And I was driving for like 12 hours straight. And I stopped at a rest stop. And, you know, doing what you do at a rest stop. And
Robbing it?
it was green. So that was kind of like a wake-up call that I had to change the oil and maybe change the dietary plan.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, all chemicals are natural, let's be real. But, like, yeah, there's a lot of, like, stuff in energy drinks that probably isn't
Yeah.
really great for you,
Yeah.
especially when you drink a lot of it. And
Well, I knew how Regina felt about the cans too, and we'd gotten in plenty of arguments about that. It was just, I don't know, I felt like it was time for changes. what I had been doing wasn't working. I needed to change some things up. And so time to grow up a little bit. And wasn't ready to deal with all the shakes, so I switched. That's coffee's an adult drink, right?
I mean, you can be an adult without shifting what you like to things that look more adult.
Fair. It also
Adults, I
tastes
think, is-
better.
That's fair. I mean, honestly, your energy drinks taste like bubbly garbage, and I never understood why you liked them, but you know, as long as you're happy with the changes you made.
I tried a lot of tea too, but then I just found that was like hot brown leaf water and tastes like garbage. So yeah, I wasn't feeling that.
There's some good teas, but I get what you mean. Most of the standard tea out there is tastes like leaf water.
Yeah, no. Absolute trash. But let's talk about you. Get me caught up on things. You're seeming more relaxed, less pent up. Happy, even.
For the most part, I am. Relaxed is relative, I suppose, with what everything is going on.
Well, I mean, we're never truly relaxed. The world's dying and everything's shit, but that's work.
Yeah.
But it seems like you have something other than work to think about. And I'm happy to see that for you.
You don't have to dance around it. Yes, Charles and I are together. And yes, I am happy about it.
Boy, what would Raven think about that? Silverfang and a Black Fury?
She already called me a disgrace, so I don't know what's worse than a disgrace.
You're not a disgrace.
I know. Corgan told me so.
I spent a lot of time there. And I took a good number of ass kickings from them, and they have a lot to be angry about.
Yeah.
She'll get over it.
Probably. I suppose the real question is, will we both be alive when she does get over it?
Is that important to you?
I don't know.
I think you should figure that out. Because if it is, then we have work to do. If it isn't, then it really doesn't matter, does it?
Fair. What about Gibbous?
when I could see Gibbous, and that was not very often, unfortunately. But when I could,
She ever walked away like some princess in the tower?
well, she was there when I did get to see her. It wasn't locked away as much as with escort.
Okay.
Didn't really leave her side type deal. But you know, me doing what I do best, I managed to slip in to some private moments with her, sneak in a few notes. She was very drawn, kind of hollowed out a little bit. But she was still her. Kind of like a gas stove. If you turned down the gas a bit, that flame was just a little lower, but the flame was still lit. It was still there. But that's this life, isn't it? And I think she knew that. She knows that. And she doesn't blame you for it. And if you know, and I know you know, you can come back from that. You've seen it personally.
Yeah.
So she will too. It hurt. And I'm sure if she'd had some forewarning, doesn't mean it would have hurt any less. But she knows that you didn't do it to her. Hell, she knows that you didn't even do it. That's what this fight is. Whether it had been you guys or it had been somebody else, it's always a risk we take.
I know. You keep saying that I wasn't there and I shouldn't feel bad, but that's why I feel bad, because I wasn't there. I had literally thought that I should talk to Eliza, but I got too wrapped up. And I wasn't there for you guys.
You're not always going to be there, Jess. But when you are there, you're fully there. And that's what matters. You're not going to be at every fight. You're not going to be at every meeting. But when you are there, you're fully present. And that's all we can ask of you. So stop beating yourself up over this. And it's easier said than done, I know. Nobody blames you. You were hurting.
I know.
I wasn't here for you for the last several months. But I couldn't be here for you, even if I was physically present. And that would have been worse.
Probably. Yeah. That I had both all of you. You and Aspen and Lucas, though Lucas he's opening up more.
I know. I know you feel bad. That you feel guilty. And I know that's not going to go away overnight or even over several nights. But you're here now. And you're doing so amazing.
I'm trying.
You brought her back to me, Jess.
I think the one who actually broke through was Charles, but
No. Because believe it or not, how could Charles have done that without you?
fair.
So I'll take all of the care and sacrificing in the world if it meant that you did that.
I'm happy for both of you, by the way. Like, super, I'm excited.
I'm happy for you too. You deserve it after everything you've been through. You need something steady and strong. Wouldn't hurt if he, cracked a joke or smiled or something every now and then and wore something other than a 3-piece suit, but like board shorts.
He does smile. And he cracks a few jokes. But he still feels like he has to outside maintain a certain facade.
Well, as long as you get those smiles and you get those jokes, I'm happy for you.
I do. We're working on the suit.
So what else has been happening around here? What do I need to know?
Ugh. So there's a new pack here.
Yeah, I've heard.
They're all teenagers. Like pups, practically. All messes. All of them.
Yeah, I heard that one of them wants to meet with me. Something about finding family.
It's interesting.
Yeah, they're trying to look up their past, I guess. Typical computer stuff. I'm glad to be of use again.
Artie. What do you mean again? We were literally calling you all the time, like, hey, Artie, we need this because you're the best at what you do. And we suck without you.
It felt really weird being disconnected. I know it's what I needed and it was the right decision, but I'm glad to be back to it again.
I'm really glad you're back. I missed you a lot.
I missed you.
Which one are you meeting with? Maybe I can tell you a little of what I know about them.
Juniper?
Yeah. I think she's I'm gonna go with a nice way. Most troubled out of all of them. I don't know really what happened, but I think she's gone through something. I do hear she is the youngest, like the last. She's the one that's had her most recent change. Really angry, very defiant. She is a Black Fury, so you know the joke. We're all just Aruns under different moons.
Great. Love that. How do I always, get caught up with you Black Furies?
I don't know. You have a
Punchable
need for-
face.
I have never punched you.
Thankfully. I'm grateful for that.
I mean,
I've got glasses now. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, right?
No, I would.
Oh, good. Okay. I need bigger glasses then.
I'm an equal opportunity hitter if somebody pisses me off enough, I suppose.
Okay.
She's the one that got into an argument with her pack leader while we were on a mission. Like,
Hey.
denied orders, and then they had an argument literally in the middle of a parking lot.
Good. Great.
But like I said, I think something happened, and usually with us, anger comes first on the emotions. You dealt with me when I was going through it. You talked me down from doing something very, very potentially dangerous.
Suppose that's fair. Speaking of which, I may have something for you. I got us a meeting while I was out. It's kind of a favor that I earned. It's a pretty big one. Had to do a lot to get it. And, well, when we use it, I don't know if we'll ever get to use it again. But I did a few things out on the road, and I got us a pass to Vermont.
Okay.
I got us an audience of sorts in Vermont. I know that you've been looking for some information, and there's only one way to get that information. So, when you're ready, we can go see the king.
That's a big favor to use on something like this.
Yeah. I did some work for the Sept Jupiter while I was up in Chicago, and they got me an audience.
Okay.
Don't know how much good it'll do, but I know it's important to you. And I was getting dead ends through all my other methods. I figure this is the best way. Now, I know things are busy right now, so it's probably not something that we can do immediately, but I've been meaning to head up that way anyway if we're going to try and make good. I'm trying to establish bridges, literally and figuratively.
Okay. Wow, thank you.
It could be just another dead end, Jess, I don't know, but that's going to be our best bet at getting any information about his childhood.
I know, but even if it is a dead end, you went through the effort, and it's a lot. It means a lot to me.
I never stopped thinking about you while I was out there.
I know.
We'll get to the bottom of this. I know it's important. All this other stuff, this monster of the week, this, whatever we're dealing with. We'll figure that out. Yeah. We'll fight back the Buffy villain, and then we'll,
Go see a king.
Yeah. Although we're going to have to, spiff up on our etiquette. They are big on that in the old nation. I learned quite a bit in the Septa Jupiter that I did not know previously.
Okay, well, hopefully you can give me some pointers and...
Oh, I only got the cliff notes. You're going to probably want to talk to Charles about that.
So he doesn't know I'm doing this yet, because I kind of wanted to...
Cliff notes it is then. Okay.
I mean, I could figure out another way to ask. Yeah, I could find another way to ask. I mean, it's probably, I could just say it'd be useful in general since we've become a sept and I have a title to know at least some of what the nation expects.
Well, good. Okay. Well, we'll get our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and then we'll see about seeing a man about a king.
Yep. Wow. So on a totally different note, the trees have memories.
Well, yeah, that's the rings when you...
No. The trees in the care of the spirits that were there previously.
Okay, is this like The Hills Have Eyes? Because I don't like horror movies.
No. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably some horrific memories you could witness, but haven't, honestly. One of the pups we found out, we found out Eliza freaking knew, but you know how Eliza is, doesn't really tell us stuff unless she's directly asked about it. Anyways, yeah, by touching a tree, she got Aiden's memories. Yeah. And then turns out the other spirits that are bound to the cairn, you can witness their memories. It's kind of like a movie and a book at the same time. You know their emotions, but you don't actually feel them.
It's interesting. We should set up a database. Catalog all the memories that we see.
Like a digital silver record of this cairn.
I mean, how else are we going to keep it all?
I'm down.
I mean, we don't even know if you'll be able to see them again or if it's like a one-time only type thing.
Well, apparently these spirits will choose what memories to show you.
Oh my God, they're fickle too?
Well, I think it's what they want you to learn or know, or yeah.
This is some Stargazer bullshit. I'm just going to say it.
Oh, they're not even Stargazers. They're a lost tribe. There's a whole thing about it. So them along with two other tribes, I think they were the native tribes of the Americas. Pretty sure Eliza said they were Gale Stalkers and Ghost Council? think. Yeah. All three of them were fighting, like, I guess, this really badass, bad, evil spirit, like, soul eater, eater of souls, world eater, something like that. And this particular entire tribe and their patron spirits sacrifice themselves to, like, seal the evil.
Yeah, I saw that movie. It was called Avengers Endgame.
Well, this is the ancient Avengers Endgame. So, yeah, this cairn is full of spirits of a lost tribe. Jace, our new Theurge, you met him at the meeting. He's been working towards trying to find the patron spirit, which is a turtle.
Okay.
And because it looks like it's waking up, so he's trying to help it because he came here to help the spirits.
Okay. Yeah, so tell me about Jace. What's the deal with him?
Okay. Let's see. He is
Supposed to help him get his liquor license and his business all set up, and I don't like to go into a new interaction blind. Tried to look him up, didn't get a lot. Ohio, the armpit of America.
he's pretty cool. And he's a bit of a smartass, I will say that, but he definitely cares. Underneath, we were out trying to remove one of the plants, and it has this bulb that, like, fills up with spores. Now that we know, that kind of explodes out, spews out, and, like, hits everything in the area. And it did it when I was trying to uproot it, and he kind of jumped in the way, and he got sick.
Okay.
So, you know how I am. Actions speak louder than what people say.
And, what does Aspen think about him?
Nothing like that. She still calls him Jason. And as far as I've seen, she just pretty much treats him pretty professionally.
Well, she treated me professionally at first too, but okay. I'll just file that in the things we don't talk about. All right.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah.
There's never been anyone else but you since the two of you have been together. I don't think she sees anybody else that way.
I know. I never wanted to leave. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. And even with all of this, I still don't think I deserve her.
Artie, you are one of the best people I know. You 100% deserve her. You constantly put your own emotions aside to look after everybody else. You
Can I ask a favor?
Yeah, of course.
The day I think that, punch me as hard as you can.
Even with the glasses?
Especially with the glasses.
Deal.
Good. Okay. So, we'll learn our things. We'll learn the etiquette. We'll deal with this, whatever this is, this plant nonsense. And then we'll go to Vermont.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you're happy, Jess. I'm glad that you're finally living and not having to keep suffering.
Yeah, I'm glad too. When Bateman pretty much destroyed the life I thought I had, kind of killed all my hopes and dreams. Leon was kind of that nail in the coffin, but Charles gave me new hopes and dreams.
I want you to think about something. It's a technique they call reframing. And I know it's not going to be easy, but consider it. What if Bateman didn't destroy your life, but ushered you into the life you deserve? It's not always easy and it's not always good. But you're happier now, maybe even happier than you were then. And I'm not saying you should be grateful to him. In fact, just the opposite. But sometimes the one that tortures you is the one that teaches you also. Just consider it. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. Because then me aside, he definitely destroyed Leon's life.
Yeah.
And Mia's and Jackson's and Caleb's and Chloe's.
Yeah.
But I'll try.
Seems like Chloe's doing pretty well also.
Yeah. She is.
And we're all fighting the real fight now, not the fight we thought we were fighting.
So much.
As long as you let him continue to be an anchor to that old life, you're not sailing anywhere. You're just rowing in circles.
he wouldn't be much of an anchor if he was dead.
Maybe not physically. Now, there has been something that I have been meaning to do for months now, and that's kick your ass at Mario Kart.
Oh, it's on.
With that, he smiles and goes over and grabs the Switch controllers and comes down and plops on the couch, passing one over to you. As you start to play, what's going through your mind after this connection, this reconnection with Artie, especially with those last words he left you with?
Some of the words he said does make sense. I am a lot happier than I was before. For any of it. Thought I was happy, but I was also struggling really hard to live two lives. And at this point, I have accepted just this one of what I am. And I have my pack and like my family, and I have Charles, and I am happier now, but deep down, there's still a part that needs Bateman dead. And I can't just mentally let that go. It's tied to that fire that's in me that I tried to keep control of, and only burning embers.
When revenge becomes a vendetta, people don't necessarily know the difference. Revenge can be instantaneous. It can be an action you take immediately. Someone takes something from you, you take it right back from them. When someone shoots you, you shoot them right back. But a vendetta can be endless, everlasting. It's an urge to take everything from them. It can even go beyond the grave. It can be all consuming. So is it revenge? Or is it a vendetta? Only time will tell. We transition now to our final scene of the first half of tonight's story. Lucas, you've been working at the cairn for quite some time. You've been trying to build structures, and it's been a rough go of it. You've had a few attempts that have not quite worked out. They've fallen apart, or they've not been quite structurally sound, but you've finally made some progress. You have your first freestanding structure. Why don't you go ahead and describe what it is you've built and how you've built it?
So, knowing that this area does get water, the most challenging parts of it was building it elevated off the ground so that when it would flood, we wouldn't lose everything and everybody that was in it based on the events that happened with the hurricanes last year. He decided to build it on stilts, which provides exceptional structural complexity and frustration to no end. So it is a stilted structure that it's kind of a multi-use building that has, an area to stand that wraps around it, but inside there's both two major rooms. One is a storeroom and a workroom for him, and the other one is a bunk room for anybody that might be staying at the cairn on a regular basis.
So now that it's done, you've had Juniper, who's been spending a lot more time at the cairn lately, assisting you in this task, which may have been the difference maker in finally getting this done, because while Eliza is helpful, structure building was never her forte. She's mostly just been a critical eye telling you when a wall is leaning too much or something's about to fall down. And while that's all well and good, nobody needs the sometimes cranky old lady looking over their shoulder telling them what they're doing wrong. So on this particular afternoon, as you're putting some finishing touches, making sure that everything is just so, you spy Jason, who has also been spending quite a bit of time at the cairn, especially ever since his affliction. Both of you have business with one another this day. Jason, what's been going through your head? Now, I want to make mention something new has been popping up as of late. For the past several days, you've found yourself waking up with strange aches and pains. Maybe a little sore in the shoulder. Maybe with some unexplainable scuffs on your knees, your pant legs, or maybe some dirt on your hands. Now it could be that you're just rolling around restless in your sleep. But you feel a little just body weary. But you wake up and you're milling about the cairn, not remembering your dreams at all. The drugs are still working. And it seems that that staff that you've been keeping nearby, whatever it is, maybe it's helping, but it's hard to say. The scene is yours.
We kind of walking past, look over towards the stilted building, rub his shoulder, trying to work out the kind of tightness and pain. Go towards the building. Lucas, I got a question. I don't know, like, why the long legs? Like, buildings itself, you're usually on the ground, you know, for foundational purposes. I feel like a little, not wanting to yell and say that your structures have been great and they haven't had any issues at all because you're excellent craftsman. But I feel like one big wind and, you know.
Lucas will just kind of cross his arms and look at Jace for a minute, and then he'll point over at one of the trees. You see about 4 feet of the bark on that tree is different from all the rest of the bark that goes up towards the top of the tree.
Yeah.
It's flooding.
Oh.
Not a very heavy flood zone here, but the possibility exists. We had some rough ones last year. I just want to make sure that at least we have one building that if, you know, push comes to shove, it's not going to disintegrate.
Okay. Well, then I recant my statement. Well done. He'll go and kind of like push on the building a little bit, see if it wobbles or does anything.
It seems structurally sound. It's built to withstand some pretty high winds and definitely for floodwaters. So it's While it does have some give, it seems to be so that it can bounce back against some high winds like palm trees often do, or the trees in this area. They're meant to have a little bit of spring to them. They're not meant to stand firm against the winds. They're meant to give with the winds so that they can also rebound. A lot of the wood around here has that quality to it.
It's not nearly as wobbly as I thought it was going to be. Oh, this is going to be cool, though. Kind of like a tree house, but not a tree house.
My old teacher, she was she's an interesting one. She had a lot of philosophical things she threw around. She always said to bend in the wind. If you don't bend, you'll break. So, you mean, just seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, the whole flexibility thing. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I heard one about having sound foundation on a sturdy ground is better than making it in the sand. There's a whole like thing in the Bible about it or something like that.
People out here love building their houses on sand. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently they didn't read that part of the Bible. I don't know. So you had your previous teacher?
Yeah, my clave teacher.
And where is he from again?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. Bit of a difference from Chicago to here, right?
The first full summer, since we're coming up on the next one here soon, was miserable. So you're gonna love it.
Yeah. Columbus, like, we get some rain and it gets warm from time to time, but it's nothing quite like this. It's already, the humidity was rough coming in and it's only getting worse.
I still don't understand why people live here. I have a box of hoodies that I've literally never unpacked. I should probably donate them at some point.
We can cut the sleeves off of them, go with the further biker look,
Fair, we could. That's not a terrible idea, but I feel like these Floridians, when they get cold, they throw on a hoodie like it's an emergency. So,
speaking of which, I got you a thing. Don't think too much of it. Shut up real quick. He'll reach into his pocket and he'll pull out a small little paper bag. Here, for your vest.
Sit down on the edge of the balcony that runs around it and grab it. What's for my vest?
Just open it. You'll see.
He'll open it up.
It's a patch of brown boots that have like this green, almost like sticky ooze all around them, and it says "sticky boots" underneath.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
Well, you had sticky boots, and full transparency, we were good to go from that cat. I didn't need to do that to your boots. I just wanted to see if you would let me do it.
You're sure you were born a Thurge? You're positive of this, right?
Remember, Bonar.
Yeah, Bonar.
Growing up, play a lot of practical jokes. Some were a little bit more serious, like thumbtacks on the toilet seat and stuff like that. But I figured you wouldn't really enjoy that.
No, that'd probably just make me more angry than laughy. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
that's fair.
But no, I wanted to say thank you for having my back at the last meeting. Twice now for going up to bat for me. And I appreciate you doing that.
I know what it's like to be new here. There's definitely times that I still feel like the outsider. So it's probably mostly my fault, but I don't know. They had a whole thing going on when I got here, and I was different one, so I understand how it feels, but you deserved it. You stood up and said, I will take one for somebody I barely know, if at all. And that's a pretty fucking honorable thing to do. And from a Shadow Lord, you don't get a lot of thank yous. You just don't. So thank you. And if you need something off the books, just let me know.
I will be sure to be in touch. It's nice to have those. Nothing against the wonderful silver fangs we have here, but having some people who can keep their ear low to the ground, I find is more helpful.
I would probably be referred to as a mild disappointment among some of my Shadow Lord friends. They tend to follow the suit of the same shit the Silverfangs do, just in a I'm not going to be in charge, but I'm going to tell the one in charge what to do manner. I take different routes of doing things, so. But yeah, we are surrounded by people that want to do things by the book, like you said, and sometimes that's just not going to be the right option.
Yeah. You say you'd take a different route. How did your route bring you here?
Shit. We haven't really had that talk, have we?
Every time we have any real encounter, it's usually go out, find this information, bring it back.
Yeah, it's usually pretty goal oriented. All right. Short and abridged version of it. Chicago. I grew up in the Sept, a lot like Charles did. But very different methods. I just had nowhere else to go, and I got conceit at a very early age, very, very early age. And so I ended up at the Sept growing up, just waiting for the day to happen. Day came along. Didn't go great. We'll talk about that at some other point. But they decided, hey, you were a good, kin-seeking story. You need to go out and tell that story to others. So I decided, yeah, let's go be a kin-seeker. It's going to be a great idea. Found some cubs. Those cubs had gotten themselves tangled up in some shit they shouldn't have. So I told the Karen about it. Karen says, no, you're probably wrong. Just keep watching them. They had a bad first change. Turns out they were on their way down the spiral path, I guess is a good way to put it. So shit got bad. My arrogance got the better of me, and I walked away from that, and they didn't. So I left because they kicked me out. Mainly because I was right, so they couldn't kill me, but they couldn't keep me there. Complicated situation politically. Drove around a lot. Passed through your neck of the woods a couple of times. One day I was at a truck stop, and a star, a spirit, ended up in the cab of my truck, telling me I got to come to Tampa and help some people out. And a surreal moment at best. So I drove down here. Showed up the night they were opening up a new cairn. Almost died. It's a good time. And I've kind of just been here ever since.
So you got pushed to come here by a spirit too?
Yep.
Rat told me spirits were having issues down here and the guru were faltered. because their rune had just passed. So he's like, your turn. Go fix it.
That was a rough time.
Yeah. I'm sorry if that was speaking ill of him. My apologies.
No, he'd appreciate you and referring to him in non-standard ways. He was a non-standard person.
Yeah. So a star spirit, huh?
Have you met Star yet?
No.
You
Can't say
should
I have.
reach out. You should definitely reach out and get their attention and have a conversation at some point.
Right now, I'm kind of trying to stay cut off as much as I can because, but when everything's cleared up, it'll be,
Yeah.
I miss doing the job. It's hard being. Karen's beautiful. I like doing the little work here and there, and it's coming along. But man, do I hate being cooped up here.
That's fair. That's fair. This life is the life I grew up in, so it's kind of like being home for me. But I can understand if you didn't, it can get a little walls closing in, despite there not being any walls.
Yeah. Were you taught to shoot a gun at the age of 8 also?
No, we weren't really into the gun things. It was and he'll look behind him and he'll reach down and pick up his clave. It was these.
So 8 for long pointy things.
They were not as long, but they were still very pointy. Yes.
Okay. Well, you had this whole nomadic thing going, right? And you show up here, kind of more silent strider if you're driving around just doing whatever. But what made you stay? You got the Karen built. You did that. This place was basically written off. Not basically, it was written off beforehand. Why stick around after?
I was banned from being a kin seeker, the only thing that I was good at. So I had to learn how to be something new. That's where like my instructor comes in. She took me after that and trained me more on how to asymmetrical warfare. How to take out people and things that needed to be taken out. And so that was my job for a long time. And I thought coming here, that's exactly what I was going to do. Turns out that's not how things are done here. Which is fine. It's just a culture shift from going to being surrounded by shadow lords that do things a little differently to something down here that's a little more honorable, I guess is a good word for it. Not that shadow lords aren't honorable, they can be, but we just don't like people watching us. Anyway, I think what kept me here was what they're doing here. I've been in and out of a lot of cairns and seen a lot of things, and I think the nation's got a lot of problems, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But even someone like me could come here and have a voice. That's a big deal. I think out of everywhere I went, I found here what you can't really find at a lot of other places, which is redemption, a second chance. As much as I fought it, as much as I argued about it, as much as I didn't want to think about it, Aspen and Jester and Aiden and Liza, even fucking Matthias, for a while let me get away with murder. Because, I don't know, maybe they thought I had a good idea every now and then or something.
You have pretty good ideas, sometimes abstract, but not bad. At least you don't go into people's houses and hear voices and say, "Hey, let's get inside."
Yeah, I mean, it did provide insight. So, silver lining?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Said you were born kind of like into the whole guru thing. Like parents?
No. Yeah, they found me. From what they told me, the dad kept mom from killing me. Apparently, mom had been possessed. Femori is their best guess. And yeah, he kept mom from killing me, and here I am. So, orphan story.
I get it, man. Same. Dropped off at a hospital at 3. You know how I came here and I flew under the radar for a little bit, just trying to get a better lay of what was going on. I needed to see kind of what was going on more with you guys. Some different things, just so I can understand further. I found some things out about you.
What's that?
Well, your mom, yeah, she was suffering, but not in the way that you really think. You said you don't like being seen, I don't like giving up secrets, but I feel like I need to be upfront about this. She had a bane with her, man. Whatever she was going through, this addictive bane was sitting with her. And I'm glad you were able to make it out. I don't know if that helps you at all to know that it was something that was more out of control than what people could handle.
I mean,
And
that I was too young to know anything that was going on, but
Eliza told me when I first came to not do my bone gnar thing, but she said nothing about it beforehand. But so I haven't done too much digging since then. But someone, as you being a Shadow Lord, I think you can understand the secrets better than most.
can't make a decision without knowing the full story.
You were a bit more of the enigma when I was trying to get everyone else figured out. So I did a little bit harder digging.
Did you find anything else out?
That was kind of the really big one. I know that you, the whole baseball thing, I know about that. You're really into plants, which I find is odd.
When you're, I don't know, 6 or 7, running around a bunch of, killing machines, they try to put you in places where you're going to be out of the way and that are less dangerous. So I helped take care of the cairn growing up. So I always had a thing for plants.
You think? Do you find that kind of helps with any additional anger or anything that you have? It's like almost like the therapeutic side of things.
Sometimes, I mean, plants are interesting. You could do a lot of things with plants. You can get a lot of things out of people with the right plants. You can fix some things with plants. You could break some things with plants. could do a lot with them.
Yeah, I'm learning more and more. Also, all the different things that Eliza makes me chew on or ingest in general.
She knows her shit too. She does.
Every time she opens that cabinet, I get a little scared.
What do you know about Banes?
I know quite a bit. They like to feed on people. They attach to those who have usually gone through some form of, lack of a better term, a depressive-like state. Those who are lower on will, in a sense, and they like to feed off that. They can also attach to, well, now apparently they can be pushed and forced into plants and stuff like that. So learning more.
Did someone pass that down to you, or was that a more practical course of study?
A little bit of both. Columbus, unfortunately, has a lot. My mentor, Catherine, she taught me a lot. She really kind of paved the way, but Banes were almost like an interest of mine. The way that they operate, knowing what it is, the affliction on which they're trying to feed on, and then how we can combat that, push it back out of whatever it's afflicting. It's fascinating. And how each Bane can differ between each individual person they come across. Because I could combat a Bane of addiction in one person, and then I could go 5 people down suffering from the same thing, and that Bane's going to be doing something different to that person. And in order to get that Bane removed or take care of that, I have to find the missing piece, the piece that slipped through the crack, in order to help them.
What about, phrase this correctly, independent Banes? Not Banes, but still worm spirits in general.
Well, they're seeking to devour, to break down. Are you probing to something in particular, or just in general what I know about them?
Just, I don't have a lot of experience with Banes in particular, but core worm things, not corrupted worm things. I don't know, maybe we have the wrong idea about them.
Okay. Wrong idea as in what?
Well, I mean, you have the big 3, right? You have the
Right.
Weaver, the Wild, and the Worm. If we defeat the Worm, we have essentially destroyed a piece of the cycle, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Fundamentally, we can't actually destroy the Worm, and there has to be some kind of balanced state that exists.
To that, I would agree. But the worm right now and how it is, there's so much of it. So we have to beat it back to a point to where that balance can be, so everything can return. But the way that the worm has corrupted and manipulated things for centuries, where on our battlefield is heavily tilted where the worm is way stronger than we are. That's why things are looking so bad as they are. If you look around, even Tampa itself, the mangroves are being choked out. The amount of litter just around the parks, the overall decay that happens here, even the things that I saw as before even coming here. And that's just one place. But no, I agree. We can't just get rid of one of the big three. It just won't work. There should be a balance. Now, I don't know how to find that balance.
Do you
But-
think that there's parts of the worm that maybe are existing in that balanced state and haven't fully tilted over yet?
I guess it's possible. I don't see why, because there are some wild spirits that have some odd outlooks on things. But with worm, I personally have not come across one. But I'm not saying it's not possible.
That's fair. Like I said, all angles, right?
Your teacher would be proud.
Maybe.
They won't say it outright if they're a Shadow Lord, but maybe a small smirk or something.
Should probably just make me do more drills. But anyway, okay, well. So you got your shit together when it comes to Banes. Good.
Like I said, they interest me. One of the things I had to do before coming here was prove myself to Rat. And I had to take on a Firebane, another one that was corrupting an estuary, and then there was one of this wild wind that I had to sit there as it battered into me for hours, and I had to plead with it to try and figure out how I can make it stop. The estuary was the hardest one. That one I had to get plants to try and combat what was going on.
There is 0% of that makes me envy you at all. None of that.
Everybody has their way to fight things. Mine's not necessarily with my hands or a clave or that god-awful gun, but trying to find the holes, the cracks.
Speaking of fighting, he'll point down at the stick. What's going on with that?
Oh, my lucky staff?
Yeah.
I don't really know. The symbols on it I still can't figure them out. I know that Eliza's trying to help out with that, but this one he'll point towards the warding one. I don't know what it's keeping away or repelling at anything, but I'm taking anything I can get right now. Like the Karen does great. Eliza's juju medicine is helping me as well. But this extra little piece, I don't know if it's helping, but I don't think it's hurting either.
Well, if you don't mind, you're more than welcome to step in my workshop and I'll take a look at it for you.
Yeah, sure.
Come on up.
You follow him in.
So as you climb up the ladder to the raised platform and enter into the building, go over to the workbench and lay out the staff atop the workbench surface. Lucas, you start looking over the surface of the staff itself, and there are a variety of symbols that make out the surface of the staff. Some of them look like insignias or sigils that make up almost like a story of its own. Roll me a wits and occult.
Can I assist while we're looking over it?
Sure. You can add an additional die.
Rage 2 or 1?
1. Yeah, we're at 1.
Uh, 3 and a crit.
Okay. As you're looking over the staff, you do make out the symbol that appears to be a ward. What it's warding against, again, it's very hard to tell, but you can tell that it is a shield of some kind. Something is being blocked or kept out by this symbol. But then there's another symbol. A door. Or like a porthole. An entry point. While there's one that's blocking something out, there's another that's letting something in. An access point. As you examine the staff further, roll me a wits and investigation.
Four successes.
Okay. Going over the length of the staff, you get down to the bottom of the staff, tracing along the various patterns, most of them making no sense. Some of them looking like they're carvings of people, perhaps on a journey. At the bottom of the staff has some mud caked to it. And what's particularly peculiar is that the mud is fresh, probably no more than 6 or so hours old.
Was Jace using it as like a walking stick when he walked up? Or was he just carrying it?
It's more like holding it, not really putting it necessarily down on the ground.
Kind of look at it for a second, look back over. Has your leg been bothering you?
Like I got a scuffed knee and I'm a little sore, but like leaning on it time to time kind of, I don't know, helps a little.
It's a lot of mud for just leaning on it every now and then.
Are you telling me I should clean my stick?
Well, I think it's more of where did you go?
I went from the trailer to here.
That's interesting. Okay, we'll worry about that some other time. Check this out. So these runes on here, right? Obviously you have a warding section right here, but this, and I'll flip it over and show the other side. This, it's similar to what we see on anchor stones. I've seen them in other cairns before. It's not the same thing. It's different, which means it probably does something different. But while one side is warding, this side is a tunnel, a way through. I don't know what it lets through or where it would let you through to, but it's probably something you want to look into. Can I tell what this is made out of? What kind of wood it's made out of?
Roll me a intelligence and science or academics.
Can I
This
do
is
science
yeah.
with my botany specialty?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Two successes.
As you study the wood that makes up the staff, looking over the fibers of it, the strangest thing occurs to you. The wood that makes up this staff at least is not native to this country.
Okay.
But you can't source it to anything in your academic knowledge.
So,
And it seems to be very old.
Okay. So like the separation between the grain is a lot closer than farther apart. So it's an old growth piece of wood.
Yes.
Okay. He'll kind of like flex it for a second and set it back down. Did the person who gave this to you tell you what it was made out of? Or how old it was?
No, to be fair, he just left it. Like him and I, he let me look at it a couple times. He always had it with him, but not a whole lot of conversations really were about the staff.
Unfortunately, this is where our story comes to an abrupt end, as we would run into technical difficulties with the live stream at this point and would go off the air for 2 hours after an internet outage unexpectedly cut us short. So we will resume the episode next week and pick up right where we left off with Lucas and Jace finishing their conversation. This is how live internet streams go, and unfortunately it was beyond our control. But I want to say a huge thank you to the amazing players and to everyone who tuned in to the live stream tonight. We were very, very fortunate to tell as much of a good story as we possibly could, and we cannot wait to get back to the live action next week. Please go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see listed down below and in the description, and come join our amazing community by following the Discord link. We would love to have you with us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Have a good evening, everyone.